John chapter 3 verse 16 is nestled in a paragraph that goes on from 16 to 21. And in that paragraph from 16 to 21, we hear about John the Gospel writer's commentary. Then in verses 22 all the way to verse 30, we have a story of John the Baptist. And there is a phrase, a sentence in there that I would like our attention to go to. In verse 28, "You yourselves can testify," says John the Baptist, "I am not the Messiah, but am sent ahead of him." John the Baptist knew his place in loving the world. That in this message of God loving the world, there are the people that are employed, like John the Baptist, people like you and I, and are part of the team. And John says, "The bride belongs to the bridegroom. The friend who attends the bridegroom waits and listens for him and is full of joy." Here's my point in this video, that the good news is not only good news for the people we're taking it to. And it's not only good news in that it comes from God, the one and only God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Guess what? The messengers of the good news are supposed to experience joy. And that's what John the Baptist's story is reminding us of. It is not just joy, it's full joy. The friend who attends the bridegroom waits and listens for him and is full of joy when he hears the bridegroom's voice. This topic and theme is often missed, and when we think about partnering for the gospel or with the gospel in our city, it takes us to know that we're part of a team of people, and that sometimes it takes the radio waves to get there, sometimes the television, sometimes it's by foot, sometimes it's a blog, sometimes all the means are partnering ways that we can be together. And so what does it mean to be full of joy? To be full of joy. And that is because we're not center, but someone else is. And in this case, it is Jesus. So when it says, "For God so loved the world," we need to leave God at the center of the stage. And we all participate with him in this endeavor. As soon as we try to be more center than the other person around us, I think we will be robbed of joy. This topic emerges again in chapter 4 when Jesus is debriefing with his disciples after the Samaritan woman. "Even now," says Jesus in chapter 4 verse 36, "even now the one who reaps draws a wage and harvests a crop for eternal life." There's the topic. "So that the sower and the reaper may be glad together." The sower is not more important than the reaper. Neither is the reaper more important than the sower. The idea would be that they are together glad. In other words, I think there is a gladness in our partnership when we realize our place and positions on the team. "For God so loved the world" is not the message any one of us only bring, but it is us together. And these teams are made up of a variety of people depending on what situation you're in and what you're doing. And these teams may not last forever. They may be for a particular season, and there comes an end and a transition to go. But what doesn't change is that in all of these partnerships, we have joy and we're glad together. And thus the saying, says Jesus in verse 37, "One sows and another reaps," is true. And Jesus says, "I sent you to reap what you have not worked for. Others have done the hard work, and you have reaped the benefits of their labor." We have to be in the mindset that we are not the first ones on the scene. We are not the first people to bring Jesus in the situation. God has been there before us, and his workers have been there before us. Somehow, we're part of a larger and bigger team of people. In this video, I wanted to stress that this story that is interluded here of John the Baptist is one of testifying about Jesus, bringing people to Jesus. Come and see. I am so happy to bring you to come see Jesus, because Jesus is center stage. God remains center stage, and we need to find ways to think about how he remains center stage and we decrease. He, Jesus, needs to increase and we need to decrease. What does that practically look like? That's where joy nestles. That is where joy flourishes. That is how joy becomes greater. When all of us believe that we're in this endeavor together so that we can decrease and Jesus can increase.